in life we always long to be liked by others. So for example, when we're children, we want to be liked by our families and our parents, and then when we go into school, we want to be liked by our friends and our teachers, and then even on, we want to be liked by our bosses and colleagues when we go to work. However, would you be surprised if I told you that if you really want to make a difference in society, you have to be prepared to be disliked? So I'm going to be talking about the value of being disliked. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about the fear of being disliked. So there are basically two ways about it. In life, you either be a change maker, or you want to be liked by everyone else, and you can't be both, because if you want to be a change maker, you have to be prepared to be different from others and to stand out. Furthermore, we live in a society that longs to be liked. So for example, with social media, a lot of people look to have likes and follows on their accounts, and furthermore, we have a fear of conflict and a fear of difference. So it actually comes from a biological instinct. So when we were like primitive, and when we didn't really have anything, and we had to stay together as a herd, otherwise we might get killed by other animals. However, now in the modern world, if you want to make an impact, you have to be prepared to be different. Furthermore, every pioneer was once ridiculed. So innovation means disrupting the society and the norm, and people are scared about that, and people fear change, and they might laugh or even hate your idea, and if it changes society so much, they might even kill you. And so I remember a story about that my parents once told me about crabs in a bucket, and whenever a crab tried to escape out of the bucket, the others would put it down, and they would just so it's similar to how when someone tries to make something new in society, it can sometimes be dragged down. And furthermore, it's a bit like how horse carriages disliked cars when they were first invented, because it made a big difference to how in the way transport would work. However, now it's now normal to see cars everywhere, and horse carriages have gone out of use. Furthermore, leadership is lonely, and because if you want to be different and if you want to make a difference, you have to be prepared to be called eccentric by others. And however, you have to stay strong and keep going until other people see your brilliance. And you shouldn't care about what other people think, because eventually, once you do make a big impact on society, then that is when everyone will look up to you. So as a conclusion, transformation is basically in your awareness and you really believing that you can do something, and you have to just basically be prepared to be called eccentric and different. And similarly, going back to the point about how horse carriages were quite scared of when cars first came. Now that taxis have become like a norm, it's quite ironic how now that Ubers have come out, they're quite worried and scared about that. So I hope you've learned something today. Thank you.